I was walking down a highway when I came to this extremely high mountain. It was made of gravel, sand, and a bed mattress was at the top. I started climbing, digging my hands into the gravel. I kept climbing until I reached the sand. I dug my hands into the sand and kept climbing until I reached the mattress. At the top of the mountain was a net-like fence that would catch me in case I fell, and that was the end of the dream.
Mountains are mentioned throughout the Bible, and a mountain can have a significant meaning in a dream. So we're going to talk about mountain dreams. So we're going to take a look at what a mountain can symbolize in a dream. So number one, it can represent a high place in the spirit. In the book of Hebrews, the 12th chapter and the 22nd verse, it says, "But you have come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to myriads of angels." Also, in the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter and the 10th verse, John is speaking, and he says, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God." So a mountain in a dream can represent going to a high place in the spirit realm or going higher in the things of God, or it can represent being in the very presence of God himself. We know that in the book of Exodus, Moses spent 40 days, 40 nights on Mount Sinai, and this is where he got the 10 commandments from. So a mountain symbol in a dream can represent a high place or going to a higher level in the spirit or being in the presence of God. Number two, a mountain can represent a place of prayer. In Matthew, the 14th chapter, the 23rd verse, it tells how Jesus went up to the mountain by himself to pray. So a mountain symbol in a dream can be a call to pray. God is calling you higher, calling you to come and pray. Number three, a mountain symbol can represent a place of praise and worship. In the 4th chapter of the book of John, the 20th verse, the Samaritan woman, she's standing at the well talking with Jesus, and they happen to be on a particular mountain, Mount Gerizim. And she mentions how the desert fathers, her Samaritan desert fathers, would come to that particular mountain and worship God. So a mountain in a symbol can represent a call to worship. God is calling you to a life of worship. Number four, a mountain can represent a place of refuge. In Revelations, the 6th chapter, the 15th verse, it mentions how the kings and princes will hide in the mountains in the last days. So a mountain in a dream can represent a hiding place or a place of refuge and safety. In Psalms 121, verses 1 to 2, David, who was speaking, said, "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." So mountains in dreams can represent a place of refuge or safety. Number five, a mountain can represent a place of transformation. In Matthew, the 17th chapter, verses 1 to 2, it says, "Jesus took Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. And he, Jesus, was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light." So a mountain in a dream can represent a place of transformation where God is calling you higher in order to bring transformation in the life of the dreamer. Number 6, a mountain can also have a negative meaning. A mountain can represent an obstacle of some sort in the life of the dreamer. So it can represent something that's blocking the dreamer's pathway or journey. In the 11th chapter of Mark, it mentions how faith and belief can cause a mountain to be removed and cast into the sea. So in the negative sense, a mountain can represent an obstacle or something that's attempting to block the dreamer's journey or the dreamer's path in some way. So there can also be different situations in dreams concerning mountains, like walking or running up a mountain or climbing a mountain can represent making an effort to go higher in the things of God or seeking a more intimate relationship with God or seeking the very presence of God. So mountains, as you can see in dreams, can have many different meanings. It just depends on the context of the dream, whether the meaning is negative or whether the meaning is positive. And so you should always pray and ask God what the mountain symbol in your dream means. And now this brings me to the dream you heard earlier. Did you get the interpretation of that dream? So here is the interpretation of that particular dream. So as the dreamer goes forward in her life's journey, because the highway, she said she was walking down a highway, that would represent the life's journey. She comes to a place where God is calling her higher, the mountain. She comes to the mountain. And as she endeavors to draw closer to God, because she begins to scale or climb the mountain, she encounters difficulties or difficult times. That's what the gravel would represent. That's the first level she encounters. Gravel in a dream can represent hardships. It could represent painful experiences or a painful time in the life of the dreamer. So she encounters difficult times, but she continues on to grow closer to God. And she also encounters events that threaten to slow down her progress. And that's what the sand in this particular dream would mean. And of course, these different symbols, sand and gravel and different things, we know that this does not always mean that. In other words, it just depends on what's going on in the dream, and it will tell you how to apply the symbol of that dream. So sand can have different meanings, but in this particular dream, it represents something that's designed to slow down the dreamer's progress. And so it goes on to say that she digs her hand into the sand and she continues to climb. And this is because of her diligence. So because of her diligence, she reaches the level in God that she is seeking. And this brings her to a place of spiritual and emotional rest. So that's what the mattress in the dream means. It represents a place of rest that she finds in God. So God is showing her also, because she mentions when she gets to the top of the mountain, there's a net-like fence that prevents her from falling. So God is showing that in this place in him, that it's a place of safety and protection. And that reminds me of Psalm 91, when David said, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty," a place of protection. So did you get that interpretation? What interpretation did you get from the dream? Leave it in the comments section below, along with any dreams that you might have had concerning a mountain. Also, if you're not a part of the dream team, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you liked this particular video. And feel free to share this channel with your family, your friends, and all of your fellow dreamers. I'll talk to you next time.